Welcome to CallumConnects, 5-minute entrepreneurial inspiration for your day. Today we hear from Nick Loper. Nick is the founder of Side Hustle Nation and host of the award-winning Side Hustle Show podcast.
A hurdle I faced as an entrepreneur was actually on my first day of full-time self-employment. I was 25 years old. I thought very highly of myself at this time. I figured hey, I'd beat the system. I got out. I escaped the corporate rat race, all that stuff. On my first day of self-employment, Google comes down and drops the hammer on my 25-year-old self, and 80% of my traffic and revenue is gone in an instant. This was for a comparison shoe shopping website, totally random niche, but that was where I was driving the bulk of my traffic from. And you go through the stages of anger and denial, like, how could this be happening? They said, you know what, your site no longer meets our quality guidelines. And I took that as a personal offense. And what they explained a little bit more is like, well, you're just an affiliate site. The sole purpose of your site to exist is to drive traffic to other sites. It's like, Google, look in the mirror, man. That's what you guys are doing too. So it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I had, thousands of happy customers. It was just weird. Like, you couldn't have said anything for the last 2 years. You never had a problem with it then. I literally just turned in the keys to my company car and quit my job. It was a weird time. What ended up happening was, over the course of several months, this was a really stressful summer for me, after kind of, buckling up and saying, okay, well, what am I going to have to do? We ended up making a bunch of changes to the site. And specifically, I don't know if you want to get deep into the tactics, was creating more internal links to balance out some of the outbound affiliate links that were on the landing pages, creating some more kind of template-driven content, because there were hundreds of thousands of pairs of shoes. It wouldn't have been feasible to write, custom descriptions for each of those, but it's kind of some template-driven stuff. It's added some written words to the page. And we did a couple other things later on. So first off, they come back 3 months later after making these changes and they say, looks like we made an error. You're good to go. And the traffic floodgates were open again. It was good that they finally came back and came to their senses, right? But this was a good experience for me because, number one, it played into the idea of diversification. Okay, like, I thought I was diversified because I had, a few dozen different advertisers. Hey, if any one of them drops me, I'm still good. But you peel back the layer, like, well, where does that traffic come from? It was overly reliant on one traffic source. So that was lesson number one, was this diversification play. And that's something that has stuck with me today. Like, if I'm relying on one source of income, like, that's an inherently risky position to be in. Lesson number two, and this is actually really common amongst guests on the Side Hustle Show, is to use these pre-existing platforms, these pre-existing marketplaces, be it Google, Amazon, YouTube, Udemy.com, Fiverr.com, Upwork, whatever it may be in your case, using those to kind of gain your initial traction. I think it's a really smart strategy. I call it the buy buttons strategy. Go where the cash is already flowing, right? But once you have a little bit of traction, try and wean yourself off of that in a way that makes sense to a platform that you own, that you have a little bit more control over, because you're just one algorithm update away from getting wiped out and having your business and your livelihood wiped out. So those were two things that stood out to me from this hurdle that I unfortunately faced early on as an entrepreneur. Number one, to diversify, and then number two, to own your audience, own the platform as much as you can. Thanks.
To receive a complimentary copy of the Progressive Partnerships book for entrepreneurs on Kindle or audiobook, plus loads of other goodies at the intersection of investing and small business, go to callumlang.com now.